if I'm a renter, does a ghost like
Mhm.
appreciate that? Like, does a ghost say to themselves, this lady didn't build this
Right.
structure.
She's just
She
a
can't
tenant.
afford, she's just a
Yeah.
tenant. We're both just tenants.
Right.
Hey,
Your fight
I
is not
get
with
it.
me. Yeah.
Hey, I have unfinished business here too.
Lisa just gave me the Garth Brooks countdown. I'm gonna not Garth Brooks. Yeah, Garth. No, not Garth Brooks. Garth from Wayne and Garth.
Oh my gosh. I love that you said Garth Brooks. By the way, we're already on a
We're rolling.
tangent that
We're
is
in.
wild. This is
Welcome to Pilots 101.
what
Hello, my name is Chris Quintos, and I'm here with my dear friend, Miss Lisa Timmons.
Thank you. Oh my God. This is what I love. We already just started a conversation.
Right. Well, I could, yeah, she just gave me, okay, hold on. It's not Garth Brooks. It's Wayne and Garth.
Wayne and
What's,
Garth.
what's Garth's last name? I don't know.
Oh, I don't remember their last names. But when you said Garth Brooks, I thought of Chris Gaines, who was Garth Brooks' alter ego for 2 seconds in the 90s. Because
Garth Algar. Sorry. Anyway.
I love that you figured that out. But yeah,
Jesus.
we are really we are Wayne and Garth, aren't we? Holy moly.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's fair. I will co-sign. Yeah, I 1,000% will co-sign.
They had a show that they did in their basement, and we're not in
Yes.
basements, but we're doing our show.
Oh my God. Can we tweet Mike Myers and Dana Carvey and just like be like, where is this podcast?
Chop and
Because
broccoli.
I would
Chop
1,000%
and
listen
broccoli.
to that show. 1,000%. Yeah, I mean, how have they aged? You know?
I don't like we would be the people to ask. I also like this idea that we're sort of I feel like both of us are acting like, oh, whatever happened to them? And I'm like, they have plenty of money. They're
Oh, they're
hanging
fine.
out. They're doing
Yeah.
fine, but I am curious. What are you guys
But I
up
mean,
to?
it's those characters that we love so much. And
Oh,
so
yes.
to come back from the tangent, hello, welcome to Pilots 101, the podcast. We are talking today about Wellington Paranormal, which I watched on HBO Max. And it is created by Taika Waititi and Jermaine Clement of
Flight
Kiwi
of the
fame.
Conchords fame, and also What We
Yes,
Do in the Shadows fame, which
correct.
started off as a short film, then became a feature, and then they made a series.
Right.
So it was very much when the mockumentary style was really getting popular in television, because it was like right
Yes.
after around The Office, where everyone was
Yeah.
doing these confessionals, and it was like even the interactions with like the documentary filmmakers
Yeah.
allegedly behind the interactions in the camera with that.
Correct.
So I love that style. I think it's so fun.
It's a really fun show. I guess we have access to 2 seasons on HBO Max, but I think they already have 3, I think,
Oh, okay, that sounds right. I definitely
in the
know that.
homeland.
Okay, cool. That season 1 is uh
It's so
fully
good.
on there. I don't. Oh yeah,
Yeah, I think
they're just
so.
they're releasing like one at a time, I think, out over here at least.
Yeah, it's just so what it is like Reno 911
Yes. Oh my God.
meets I don't know, what's
Ghost
Sixth
Hunters.
Sense? Yes. Yeah.
It's the
Yes,
same vibe.
totally.
It's so you're absolutely right. There's a part in it where, and also the thing I really, really love is the Kiwi sensibility really gets conveyed here. This is an entire country of individuals who are just so polite and
Yeah,
like
it's a very
excited if you even, yeah, they're not like super famous for much besides rugby and
Lord of the Rings
Lord of the Rings and the Flight of the Conchords. And I'm not
and the
saying
Flight
that
of the
in
Conchords.
a deprecating way. I love New Zealand. I think they're amazing, but I think, and especially now, this day and age,
Yes.
they've really emerged
Oh,
as
first of all, they've
rock
got gold
stars
medals in the COVID race. Gold
in the
medals
COVID
all
race.
around. I
But
mean,
there is this sweet sort of sensibility of like being excited when you even know their country exists.
have you been there?
Yes.
Okay, I've
Yes.
never been. It's a dream. It's on my bucket list. But tell us what it's like. I mean, like, is it just like
It's
as
beautiful. It is, first of all, it's
yeah,
gorgeous.
right.
It's a beautiful part of the world. A lot of it is left, really untouched
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just and very natural. And then when I like the best example I can give is when I was coming through customs with my
Mhm.
American passport and it said Los Angeles on it. The
Yeah.
guy checking my passport goes, "Oh, Los Angeles." I can't do a Kiwi accent, so I'm not going
Sure.
to.
No,
But
don't
he
even
goes,
I
he was like, "Los Angeles." He goes, you know, "Brett and Jermaine go there all the time." I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "They're through here all the time." And I was just like, and I
Brett
realized
and
this,
Jermaine.
it's a country that's like a small town.
It's like a small town country. Yeah, that sounds awesome. I
And that's
mean,
the vibe you get from this show.
yes, that is totally the vibe you get from this show. It's just so fun. Yeah, it's like if Cops was like in New Zealand and nice and funny.
And it's just
And
really ghosts. It's like
paranormal.
cops that are having to when the young woman who's possessed throws throws a grown ass man
Yes.
over into a pile of trash cans and he falls over. This is within the first few minutes of the show.
Right.
He and you hear the other cop, she gets on there, she's like, "Oh, we're gonna need backup." He pops up, goes, "I'm okay, it's all right, it's all right." Just like
It's a really, really fun show. Yeah, they're like suspending their disbelief that any of this is paranormal, even though it so clearly is. And it's just really funny. It's like these bumbling cops who kind of like overly kind cops who just kind of think it's like maybe drugs. Not-
Oh, well, that's the other thing too is you've got this element of so they're in the state when they're in the station and they're talking to the other cops and you're talking to the chief, who's
yeah.
the chief is a fantastic character.
Yes.
Um,
Maka, Chief Maka. Yeah.
Chief Maka, I think.
He's the only
So,
one who believes in the paranormal stuff.
oh my God, a secret little room.
He has a secret little. I mean, the jokes just they don't stop. Like it's
It's very
hilarious.
much it's very much X Files too,
X
because
Files. Yeah, yeah,
it's like a very comedic X Files because these are really it's this secret unit, but it's not really. It's just the chief really wants to have a secret unit, so it's like this him doing
right.
the facial recognition or the key
It's
code.
a
Beep, beep,
code.
beep,
Yeah, a
beep,
key
beep.
code. Except it's one number.
It's
It's
so
like five.
dumb.
It's five.
It's fun.
He's like, I'm gonna change that. I'm gonna change that. Yeah, it's just so fun. Yeah, so it follows these two. So it's Chief or Sergeant Maka, and then the two cops are named Minogue and O'Leary, and it's basically the three of them and antics just pursue, and
And
it's so fun. It's so fun.
now, when we saw Truth Seekers,
Yeah.
and and that sort of inspired me to suggest this. I was telling Chris, "Oh, it's a but it's a
Wait,
horror
Chris, or me,
comedy."
Chris?
You,
Oh, me,
you,
Chris.
Chris, you. Sorry, I was like talking to the viewer. I was being real meta, and then I realized that my life has got so many Chris's in it that I can't
Yeah,
do that.
exactly. Listen, okay, listen, sweet baby. I just want you to know that there will only be one Chris. That's Chris, and I'm just regular, just Chris.
I'm going to make out with that porcelain dog again if you're not careful.
Um. So yeah. Oh yeah. You were telling me. So you're telling me that it wasn't that it was a horror comedy, but it was still pretty scary. I mean, I'm a bit of a chicken when it comes to this stuff. Like when it
But
comes to
this,
horror,
not
but
at
this
all,
was just
right?
1,000% comedy.
So
So fun.
wacky.
So
So
fun.
wacky.
He actually Maka Chief, Sergeant. I keep wanting to call him Chief. That feels like very like
Very cop show.
yeah, cop show
Chief.
exactly. He says he actually has what I think is like the thesis of it, and he says like, "Look, I have an observational absurdist sense of humor, sometimes even a little risque." Like he like just kind of like
He
is just
acknowledges
defining his humor, and I'm like, that's the whole show.
it
Like
really is. You're absolutely right. And he would say that because he's the truest believer.
right. But he's also the straight man in this, which is funny, right?
It's
Like,
amazing. It's amazing because I've gone on to watch multiple episodes, and which helps when you're watching the pilot too, because then it lets you know like sort of what each episode is going to be like.
right.
And every episode, they come to him going, "Ugh." wait, this crazy thing happened. We think it's drugs. And every
Right.
episode he goes, no, it's paranormal. And every time he's right.
Right. Yeah. It's
It's so
funny that
great.
it's so funny that he's a straight man who believes in like UFOs and the paranormal. I mean, I think it's great. Like, yeah, highly identifiable. Do you believe in the paranormal and
That is a good
UFO?
question. You know what? I'm pretty atheist,
Okay. Let's
but
start there.
however, I
Mhm.
do believe there's a science to energy and what have you. Like,
Okay.
I think that there is paranormal within the scientific realm, maybe.
Yeah. I
I
think it
don't know.
yeah.
I think
I
I definitely know that I'm not smart enough to say that I can prove that it doesn't exist.
There we go. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think what you're saying is like our tools, there are things that aren't measured by our tools, but could one potentially one day be explained by like science.
Like, I don't know enough about science to sit here and be like, listen, I'm going to tell you why this is not true. I know there might be people who are credible. I
Yeah.
am just not one of them.
Well, okay. Well, as a lifelong stoner, I am 1000% in. I I'm like cue the ancient aliens, like get it going. Like I'm in. I believe in all of it. I all I'm looking for is proof. I just yeah,
Yes.
I feel the spirits. I know they're here. Like I think they're messing with us. Maybe that's why I'm such a chicken when it comes to watching this stuff. Is because like when I turn off the screen, I'm just like, now it's just me and the spirits.
Hey,
And
I'm telling you, ignorance truly is bliss in this case.
yeah, yeah. No, I guess we never really. I didn't really know if you were
Well,
like okay.
oh, go
So
ahead.
so like if you're, do you get scared though if you're like home alone that like anything would ever
Yes, here's the problem.
go?
I only, the thing is, it doesn't help me that I don't fully believe in it. It's still scary. Like, I'm still like, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Because I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't,
it's
I don't,
scary.
I don't know those people. Listen, the people who can say, "Oh, I don't believe in that. I don't think that that's possible in any way, shape, or form."
Yeah.
I'm always like, "Oh, I'd be the one person it happens to." Is my thought process. Like, I'm like, ugh. The thing is, I
It's
I'm an
like we're
atheist,
proving
but
you
I'm
wrong,
also
Miss
kind of
Timmons.
superstitious. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
my mother.
Yeah.
So
You're
listen,
respectful.
I respectful of like, hey, I just don't want to be disturbing no bones.
Look, I'm not digging where I'm not supposed to dig,
I'm
okay?
not I'm not building a house anywhere that I am not supposed to be.
No, ma'am. Yeah.
That's the other thing. I'm like, I I was thinking about that the other day. This is so dumb, but I was like, do apartments get haunted? Do like
Probably.
yes, exactly. Because in my head I was like, if I'm a renter, does a ghost like
Mhm.
appreciate that? Like, does a ghost say to themselves, this lady didn't build this
Right.
structure.
She's just
She
a
can't
tenant.
afford she's just a
Yeah.
tenant. We're both just tenants.
Right.
Hey,
Your fight
I
is not
get
with
it.
me. Yeah.
Hey, I have unfinished business here too.
Listen, rent is due in 28 days, okay?
unless
So
you're
just
splitting unless you're splitting the bill with me. I can't help you. I am so sorry. Like literally I would get haunted and just get in this conversation with this poor ghost of just like, "Hey buddy,
like,
I get it.
can we work together? Like, is there something we can do together?
Yeah, like, hey,
Yeah.
do you mind if I bring people in and charge money? You be
That would help
cool.
me.
I'd be cool. You can scare them.
Yes, yes. For sure apartments can get haunted, for sure. Like especially like those like old Hollywood ones. I feel like there's just too many
Yes.
like tragic stories and like
Oh, and I love a good rent
colonization.
controlled. I love a good rent controlled building, and so that means it's gonna have to have been built before what, 1985 or something?
Right, right. Yeah. So
Oh,
I don't know. I was just curious. I mean, obviously Jermaine Clement and Taika Waititi. I mean, this is the second sort of paranormal thing that we've seen from them.
yeah.
Like what we do in the shadows is all vampire lore.
Well, now I'm asking myself and you this question of not being fully white. I think
Mm,
there is something about, because like it is my mom, like, okay, so
mm,
my mother is very Americanized,
right.
Colombian American. She moved here when she was 8,
Mm-hmm.
and super scientific, very modern. But I remember when I was a teenager, I got a Ouija board from a garage sale for fun. I,
Whoa.
I
Okay.
bring that
Whoa.
to,
From a garage
right,
sale? What are you,
right.
bananas? My
See, listen,
God.
like I said, I'm half white.
Dude, you just were no boat. You're just like, I'll take this haunted piece of ephemera. Thank you. What?
What's in this dark alley? Let me go check it
What?
out. Anybody
Okay.
need me to hear what the sound in the basement is? Clomp, clomp, clomp. So
Jeez.
I
Okay.
white girl bought that. My
Yes.
mother,
Okay.
my
Go on.
very Americanized modern mother,
Yeah.
just says to me, "Okay, just be careful." When she said that, I was like, what? What?
Just be careful. Oh my God. Did you play with it? Oh,
Yeah, but here's what I did. So my sisters and I were like, okay, we're still gonna do this. And so
okay.
we did it. Nothing really happened, but I did knock over a candle.
Okay.
At some point a candle got knocked over and it spilled all over my stupid white carpet. It was like a bright blue candle. Also, I'm like, what flavor was this? What scent was this ugly blue candle that
It
I was
was
burning?
it was Bed Bath and Beyond. No, no, no. What's it called? Bath and Body Works scent.
Bed Bath and Beyond the grave.
Right.
But
Right.
that's sort of my. And then Tyke and Jermaine,
Yeah.
I believe that they're both of Maori descent, or
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
because there's a lot. And so I don't know, I feel like there's more. Listen, I'm science, science, science all day, but there is that piece of me that is like, listen,
Girl.
this is more ancient than me. I don't
Mhm.
know enough to say,
Yeah.
like, I don't know, is that because of the cultures that we have,
Right.
to which, to a connection to, where we're like, hey, listen, look, I may not know, but these
These guys.
ancient people seemed to think this was the case, and I don't know, I think maybe they were right.
Mhm. Yeah. Look, yes. Uh, Filipino culture, which is how I was raised. My parents are both from the Philippines. Um, is all about fear of of ghosts. The whole thing. The
latin
whole shebang.
america Latin America is like, if you're a woman, there's a bunch of ghost stories that you can look to explain to you why it's a curse to be single, and
Correct.
or have,
Yes.
like, don't have a man,
All of it.
don't be a hoe, you're gonna
Like
lose a leg.
yeah, that's when like I think all of it mixes with Catholicism, you know?
And then
It
you just get a stew of
yeah,
fear.
of like don't be a whore because there's a ghost that kills only whores or whatever. But
Yes.
but honestly, it's because like the colonizers were like, okay, how can we tap into the like
Yeah.
existing
Fear.
existing beliefs, a belief system, and like but make it about this like morality that we've decided, blah blah blah. But yeah, but like we don't walk past a tree without saying something. Like there's like it's like a whole thing. Like well, it's
I'm
mostly
watered
at
down.
night, but
I'm watered down. So I have like I'm what your children will experience, by the way.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
This is your future, where they're like,
right.
I have a vague notion that I shouldn't be by this tree, but I don't know why. I think
Yeah,
one time I got hiccups, and my white ass dad was like, my abuelita had taken, I was a baby, and she'd taken a cotton ball and got it wet and put it right here. And
yeah.
my dad was like, what's happening?
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, I have all kinds of those things. Like for when like your foot falls asleep, there's like a you make a sign of the cross
I thought
situation.
you were going to
Oh,
say when your foot falls off. I was like, you
okay,
are
if
a
your foot
very
falls off,
prepared lady.
you're in trouble. You're totally in trouble.
I don't think that's a ghost. I think maybe you need to go to a
I
hospital.
think that's type 2 diabetes. But like also prominent in most brown cultures, unfortunately.
You know
Anyway,
what?
America, look, America's the worst. Like that's all. I love it
It's
and I hate it all at the same time.
but you know
But
what? Okay, let's say if my thesis hypothesis is true that it's based in this, then in order to reclaim the power from that, what do? You make it a comedy.
right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's really really funny because I did think about that when I was watching the series of how who is more likely to be open to believing this. And it's
Hmm.
interesting that it's Sergeant Macca who's like, oh, very matter of fact, just like, oh, what you got here is a possession, classic possession.
Yeah.
And he's just very matter of fact about it. And there's something so great about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just Bazual comes and just possesses. Bazual comes and possesses like this basically this family one at a time, one member at a time. This suburban, I think it's a very suburban little town. I mean, suburbs isn't even the right phrase because that feels like a very American concept, but like it's like a sleepy little town.
Well, it's like we said, this is a country that's essentially feels like a town.
Right. So it's like of that, it's not in the major city. It's
No,
like in a
it's
smaller part of it.
Wellington. Yes.
Yeah. So so it's just kind of it's so Bazual comes to open the hellmouth. There's got to be a hellmouth in episode 1 of any paranormal. Right? Like that's the best way to explain anything. I feel like I remember Buffy was
Yes.
probably a hellmouth happening.
So many hell mouths.
Yeah, you got to start with hellmouths. So anyway, Bazual comes from the unholy realm to open this hellmouth with a human sacrifice. Anyway, that's the gist.
The
Meanwhile,
best,
there's cops.
there's cops. And also these cops. Let's discuss these cops for a minute. I
Fabulous.
love these two cops. I might be presuming aggressively that O'Leary is not heterosexual.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
However, the reason I presume this is a
Yes.
phenomenal joke takes place in
Yes.
which
Yes.
her somehow even more clueless partner says that they are like Mulder and Scully
Correct.
down to the sexual tension. And
Right.
there's a moment where she just looks at him like, "Do you
Like
not know?"
yeah, she gives him that look like, "Oh, you're in the wrong sandbox, my friend." You know? Like
It's so great because it's Sergeant Mecca who on the surface seems the silliest, really.
right.
He's actually, like you said, the straight man, voice of reason. Then you
Hilarious.
have O'Leary. She's like a little bit higher up on the level of
Yeah.
comprehension,
Correct.
but
She kind of gets the joke. Yeah, she kind of
she
gets
kind
it.
of gets the joke. But the funny thing is, she knows just enough to get herself in trouble.
Yes.
And then you've got the nincompoop,
Mhm.
which is Minogue,
Minogue, yeah.
is the dumbest, but who constantly stumbles into brilliant moments of clarity.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
because he is so silly, and the other two constantly dismiss him because he's usually guesses what's happening,
Right.
but because it's coming from him, it's really the Three Stooges actually.
Right. Yeah. Totally it is the Three Stooges.
It's the Three
It
Stooges.
is.
It's that
Yeah.
classic, three man.
You're just like, just
Mo clunking heads back at the station.
yeah,
The
exactly.
other two
It's
just,
so funny.
I
Because
love it.
when it possesses the dog,
I forgot.
it possesses the dog, and I just was like, I've lost it. Like, and so he's like with this. It's like a small dog. It's like I don't know, like some kind of a toy dog.
The part about that made me laugh the hardest was hearing Minogue describe his interaction with the dog. Like he's using
Yeah,
that cop. I spoke with the dog. The dog said
right.
the dog was saying all these things. Like the fact that they could not wrap their heads around the fact that the dog had been possessed. Like the most logical explanation is this dog was possessed. No, he thinks the dog is now talking to him.
Right. Yeah. It's a beautiful escalation.
I forgot
Like
about
it
that.
just
That
like
was
when
so
it tops
funny.
out at the dog, I'm just like, forget it. I can't handle this anymore. And the way that he reacts to just like a regular, it's like not a poo, it's like a little Yorkie. That's what
It's
it's
so
like, a Yorkie, and
small.
it's just like the way that he reacts, like he is terrified of
He's so
this
cute.
dog,
It's
is
so
so good. It was, anyway. That was really great. But yeah, their bant, they have such good bant. Did you watch Too Hot to Handle? Is it Too Hot to Handle? That stupid reality TV show that
small.
um
I no, but I
oh
watched Hot. Wait, I haven't. Okay, wait. I watched the first season.
yeah, yeah, so did I. And they're
But it's
always
been
talking
a minute.
about they're always talking about like having good bent,
Band.
babes. Like he's got
Oh
good
my
bent.
god. Band. Band. I
Anyway, they have great bent.
ugh, I love learning some new slang. They have
I know.
great band.
Babes. Excellent
Babe.
bent.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh. I'm watching a lot of Drag Race UK,
Oh,
so
nice. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I haven't
all
even
those
started that.
accents.
There's just so much TV. There's just too much TV. And I'm still on Woo. Season 3. I think I'm on episode 10. It's a dance competition straight out of Shanghai.
I love it.
I,
Straight out of Shanghai.
it's called like Street Dance of China. Anyway. Okay. But
We'll get to it, guys. We will get to it.
I did appreciate this break of Wellington Paranormal. And I think I have to binge because like these characters are just so, the jokes, like like you
Ugh.
said, they rip on Mulder and Scully because he says something like, well, she's a lot like Scully because she's analytical and I'm brunette. Which I was like, get it, yes.
They were like in the character descriptions, Mulder, or it's Scully, analytical woman, da da da, da. Mulder, brunette man,
Brunette, brooding.
man with dark hair.
Man, oh, what's David Duchovny up to, I wonder?
I can't remember. The last I checked, I remember he was on Californication. And how
Yes,
long
I
did
remember
that
that.
go?
That was like, that was a long run.
That
So,
was it was I couldn't get into it. I did love him. I mean, listen, X-Files.
mm,
That's another one. That's another.
we
Should
sh-
that be our next one?
oh my, look look,
It's
look at God.
happening.
Yes. Okay, X-Files is the next one for sure. For
Oh,
sure.
yeah, because
That's a great.
I love that because it has what we love about Wellington Paranormal: an analytical woman and a brunette man.
But man, that when I think I was like, maybe I was like tween aged when that came out, and so it was just like, I don't understand this, the why I'm so drawn to this character. Like the guy, like
Oh,
I'm like I was just getting I'm like, oh, this is what a crush is. Okay. Like
yeah, I could never have a crush on David Duchovny because I am not attracted to men who kind of look like me.
I just took a sip of water and I hate you now.
I'm so
I
sorry. And I'm using that in the most, you know, in the most Minogue officer, what is it? Officer Minogue description possible,
Oh
in
my
which I
God.
see a man with a prominent nose and brown hair. And I'm like, it's too close. It's hitting too close to home.
All I saw was a man that needed fixing. And I recognized at an early age that I was like, I'm drawn to that.
Ooh,
What is
ooh,
it?
a project. Give me a project, man.
I did want to say my favorite character in this whole episode is Gary's wife, the mom, the mom of the one girl who is possessed. Just because she comes in and he's like, he's 48. He can't be. You know what I mean? Like I have a terrible New Zealand accent, but it's like, why is he twisting his neck? I'm not going to massage you later. It's
Just like everyone's inability to recognize that something paranormal is happening, their
it's
refusal
so
is so
good.
funny. That's the
Yeah,
best part.
it's a
Is
great
they're just
game.
like, ugh.
Yeah,
It's
she's like,
yes.
so he gets up on this like refrigerator in their garage and he just like twists his neck a hundred, 360. And she's like, "Don't do that. You're 48. Like I can't massage you later." Like it's just so. Good. She's like, I'm not sure what's wrong.
No one really gets scared. They
No,
more just get inconvenienced
they're
until the
so
very
inconvenienced.
just inconvenienced. Like, oh, this is so troublesome.
But like as a like someone who's been in a long-term relationship, it's like, yeah, like if you came at me with a paranormal thing, I would just be like, please, we have to get up so early,
Early
please.
childhood.
Like, please. Can just wait till tomorrow. Like, I
I
just
will.
can't
You can possess me from like 10 a.m. until 1 p.m.
when the kids are at school.
when the
But I
kids are at
just
school. But for right now, like this is wind down time. Tomorrow, early in the morning, is like get up and go time. You can
right.
get me for like, you know what? Actually,
Exactly.
I have 10 minutes on the toilet where you can possess me. Is that cool?
Like outside of that, I'm tired. I'm
I'm gonna be
really
pooping at like 11. So let's do it then.
oh my god. Yeah, you're just like and honestly right now officers Minogue and O'Leary, that's like it's all of us because it's like just with the pandemic we're just all like, like I get it, but like I'm so emotionally exhausted from all of this that I'm just not, please do not bother me with like just the collapse of an entire empire. Like I can't right
And
now.
it
Like
is because it's like the vibe is, oh, and now there's ghosts.
yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah. And we're just like, and now like everything's on fire? Nope. Not today. All we're
But
doing is trying to stay alive.
but Illyria Minogue, well, this is the other thing that I was thinking about was I don't know the chronology of events in the sense of I don't know when this was shot.
Right.
And because I was also wondering, oh, if it was in New Zealand, was there corona or was this when corona had, I mean, it didn't really affect them nearly
Yeah.
as much as it did the rest of the world. So I was wondering, is it again this little bubble
Gold
where
medal.
these little cops are literally praying for like like when they said something about, I think they're like, sometimes it's gang violence, and you're like, no, it's never, and you know that.
Yeah. Wait, they just back to just like how amazing New Zealand is. I think they just announced they locked down the country for one case.
Yeah,
And that
one
was
case, and they were like, we can't.
yesterday. Just I just I
I know.
everyone says like let's move to New Zealand or whatever, but like maybe let's move to New Zealand.
Shh, don't
I
tell
know,
anyone
but
else.
then I'd have to be like really nice, and I don't know if I could
Oh,
do that.
they would be like, we need to lock down the country because two nasty bitches just showed up. They're gonna infect everybody.
With their foul language and sense of humor. Yeah.
As my friend Robbie always says, he goes, finger waving diva. They're like, we have a breakout of finger waving divas in Auckland, and they're
Right.
spreading to the north.
I don't know if they'd have to lock down. Though it is the whole place is run by one bad bitch. So just
Oh,
like,
I mean,
ooh,
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 girl.
that
Ooh,
power starts
girl.
at the top. She is amazing.
Oh,
Yeah, so this is just a really great show. I definitely, definitely. Well, remember that part where he's like, "Can you do your bad cop?" I tried. Like he's like really
oh my
scared,
gosh.
and she just
Yes.
goes like, "Stop it." My accent's terrible. She just goes, "Stop it, stop,"
Stop.
and that was like the extent of her bad
That was her.
cop.
Oh, yeah. Her bad cop was great. Well, that's the other thing, too, I was realizing is, this isn't because, I mean, these days, who wants to watch a cop show, right?
Right. No one. Yeah. No.
Not set in
Mm-mm.
America, thanks.
No.
Uh,
No thanks.
but but having it set in New Zealand, it's
Hmm.
it's like the idea of this cop, like you can have these like bumbling cop characters and be like, yeah, I feel like that's probably like I don't hate those cops.
Yeah. I know. Right. They're endearing. Like even though it's like down
Listen,
with the popo, we hate them. Yeah. But
but it's like it does feel like a nice way to be able to enjoy that without
yeah,
being
it
like,
does.
oh, it's not like undermining like a stronger
civil
you know,
unrest.
mess.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like minimizing the truth of what's actually going out.
Right.
Like, yeah, these guys really are. This is like there's an episode where something's happening in a cornfield that they have to go investigate to let you know just how benign.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and then it is also, I mean, just from the pilot, like their cop room or the briefing or whatever, it was pretty diverse. I mean, it wasn't all,
Oh,
you know,
yes, and they
just
were,
like,
and also the crimes that they were talking about, where they were like, "Hey, good job on
oh
like."
yeah, the spray painting. It was like they turned this spray painted dick into a spray painted happy face. Oh, and then he goes,
Yeah, that's
no,
right.
no, they turned this spray painted dick into like it was something like a happy man, and he's like, actually, on second thought, there's nothing that says it is a gendered a man. Like he just like
Yeah, that's
corrects
right.
himself. It's like I guess it could be any, you know.
Oh,
It's just so aware.
it
The show is aware.
it's very weird, and also that's that
Yeah,
patter of the like the talking the saying something and then under your voice sort of under
yeah,
I
yeah,
feel like
yeah.
that's very Jermaine Clement. Like I feel like
Yes,
that's very the Taika Jermaine, Fly the Concord style to have
right.
these people because that's another thing I have to watch with subtitles. Did you? Because
I didn't, but I've thought
I
about it for a
forgot
second.
about that. Well, here's the thing too is I can generally understand, but the problem is they do so much of that little sort of like
Yes.
quiet under the breath sort of like side patter that
Yeah.
I'm like I don't want to miss any of these jokes,
Right.
especially I think especially when he was like talking about the dog when O'Leary was talking about the dog. I feel like there were a lot there was like the interview going on and you could sort of hear him saying things like, "Hey, like what was it like?" You could I was like I really wanted to hear what was in the interrogation room and on the
Yes.
outside.
There are just so many jokes. There's so many jokes.
So many little
It's
jokes just
yeah. And that thing that they do that you were talking about where it's like their inner monologue, but they're just like self-deprecating saying it like after the thought under their breath. It's so funny.
ugh.
Um Also he said something like Bazual of the Holy Realm, and then this is later. So the character, the demon, has introduced himself as or herself as Bazual of the Holy Realm, and or themself. And okay, I'm doing it. I'm doing
I love it.
it.
I'm they theming these days now too. I'm trying to be more
um so
aware.
yeah, and then she goes O'Leary goes, Metallica, like as if he was quoting like a Metallica quote. Like I was just like, stop
Dead
please.
serious. The deadpan way that they just like they
They just
genuinely
slide
believe.
in these like gems of jokes. And then also in the edit, I mean, the editing is amazing because like the timing of like the jokes hitting, but that there is a second where the when the teenage girl is possessed, we're watching all this footage of her on the security
Oh
cameras,
yeah.
and it's just like so good because she's just walking around like the Grudge or like a Ring, the girl from the Ring, and it's just like
Definite hellmouth vibes.
for sure Hellmouth vibes. And then they come, and then but you see them run through all of it like because then you see them running like 2 seconds later just like terribly inept right
Oh
after,
yeah.
and it's just so
The
funny.
security cam 4 camera quadrant
Yeah.
setup because they do that in What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
use the security cam stuff, which
It's
that is
great.
always it's such hilarious. It's such a great tool to visually get across,
Yeah.
what you're trying to say of like them chasing after her. It's a fun way to see a chase in a screen.
It's such a
Uh,
good idea. Like it's such a good
so
idea.
good. The other thing I really love about all of their, especially their horror stuff, like What We Do in the Shadows,
Yeah.
and this is the in-camera effects because they do the just lifting people up
Yeah.
because they're
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of in-camera stuff that's like
Right.
sort of like lo-fi camera effects that you don't see like that's what I loved about Michel Gondry, so that he was very known for those in-camera effects stuff like
Yeah.
I remember watching Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind. There's this amazing scene where Kate Winslet is like disappearing and on the floor in like Grand Central Station and disappearing into the dark,
Yeah.
and the director cut shows and they're like, "Oh, how did you do that?" He goes, "Oh, I tied a rope to her and I just pulled her." But that's what I love is stuff like that where,
So
you know,
good.
where like the big finale scene at the end in the
Yeah.
park where the possessed man is like floating in
Yeah.
the air, and there's this whole thing, and it's so fun because the effects are so lo-fi looking,
Yes.
but it looks so real.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
It
I
looks
think we're
great.
now so conditioned to think that anything that's too glossy looks fake.
Right. Right. Because the CGI is getting so good
It's
that
getting
it's
so
like,
good. So
oh, they
yeah,
just did that all on a computer or whatever.
like it
But they're
really just looks like they lifted a man up and
yeah.
we see his feet.
Gosh, and then so the final scene it takes place in like the town center or whatever, where
Yes.
there's like this fountain, and the fountain is one of those like, it's like when you see it at a kid's water park, it's like when the bucket fills all the way and then tips, and they're just like they're just waiting for this, like, it's just a really like sort of
They're
basic.
It's so funny because they're waiting for the water to turn into blood.
Yeah.
Because the buckets, because it's supposed to be, it's so funny because when they initially describe the buckets of blood, it sounds horrifying. And then you see it's like this adorable little fountain with these tiny, cute little buckets.
Yeah, like yeah, and then the one tips. They're like waiting for this one to tip over, and they're like, "Just wait, because it will be blood." And then it does, and it's just great.
That's,
It's so
oh,
funny.
that's right. That bit where they're like, and
And now,
now,
and now,
now.
and they're just like, right, because that's the joy of those fountains, right? Like, you're just like, oh, it's kind of fun to like
Well,
try to guess, like.
my favorite part of that bit was when Maka goes, he's waiting. He's
Yeah.
waiting and waiting, and he thinks that by the time he does it, it'll be right, and he does now, and then he goes, damn it.
Yeah, there's no payout. It's so good. It's so good. What a great show. Thanks for turning me onto this one. Wellington Paranormal. Check it out. We think there might be 1 or 2 seasons out. I think maybe it's just on the first though.
Let's see
We'll
here.
have to
Well, you
check.
know what? It says here, it says there are 3 seasons
That
with
exist.
19
Right.
episodes. So oh my gosh, and the fourth, I guess in June, Jermaine said that the 4th season was in post-production.
Oh, nice.
They're not sure they'll be back for a 5th season, but hey, I mean,
Brett and Jermaine come through here
these
all the time.
days, all the time.
Thanks for joining us this week. We'll see you next week when we get to talk about X-Files.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love this. I am so excited.
Me too. Yeah, come check us out on all our socials. I'm at Chris Q on IG.
I am at Timmons Lease. I'm at Timmons Lisa on just about everything. And on the podcast, we are at Pilots 101 Podcast. Although now that I think about it, I think our Twitter is at 101 Pilots Pod. So, it's one of those two, guys.
Until we're huge. And then it'll
And then
well, but
just
yeah. Slide into our DMs. Tell us what you think we should watch. And yeah, we'd be happy to do it. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you next time.
Toodles, poodles.